So in the past lecture, we had a discussion towards the keys, concept of keys, super key, candidate key, and functional dependency at the introductory level. Okay, the functional dependency is generally denoted in this way, that is X determines Y, where the arrow is determines, arrow is called as determines. So X can derive or determine a value of Y. That's why X is called as determinant and Y is called as dependent. So here we are simply saying that the value of Y is dependent on X, fully functionally dependent on X. Okay, so we have also gone for a formal definition of it. When I am saying that t1 dot x is equal to t2 dot x, then we have to have t1 dot y is equal to t2 dot y. In this case, whenever I'll be saying x is equal to 1, every time y should be 1. Every time y should be 1. That's the necessity of your functional dependency. We'll just exemplize it. We have already done. We'll just see one. This is a table where we have different functional dependencies. But in this table, we have already seen here the primary key can be UID, because UID is happening to be unique, and every UID can fetch one complete record or one complete tuple or row in this data set. When I say 101, 101 is Seema, who is studying 6th sem. So for DBMS subjects, he has scored 45. For 104, he is Anuj, studying in 8th standard, and in FE, he has scored 47 marks. So complete information can be fetched. But if I'm taking name as a primary key, then it doesn't make the sense. It doesn't make the sense. So because Yash is getting repeated in that case. So we cannot have name as a primary key. But see, when I say X determines Y, it means that X is able to determine the value of Y, but it doesn't mean that X is a primary key always. That you remember. How you can see? What are the FDs which are possible on this? Means we can say which attributes are dependent on which other attribute in this case. So let us take that example. Is it a correct FD? UID determines name. Means if I have the value of UID, will I be able to get the name? Yes, I can determine. So UID can determine name. So I can say that this functional dependency exists on this table. Our name is functionally dependent on UID. So if I have UID with me, I can determine the name. This FD exists. What about this? Name determines UID. Can every time I say that I have a name and I am going to get the same UID always? What is UID for? I have name Seema. What is UID for Seema? It's 101. UID for Tony 102. UID for Yash, it's 103 and 106. So it is leading to two values. That means I can say that name is not dependent on, name cannot determine UID. UID can determine name. Okay, UID can determine name. So this FD exists and this FD doesn't exist or does not hold on this particular relation. Are you understanding me? Okay, so name cannot always uniquely determine UID, but UID can always uniquely determine name. Which are the other things? With UID, can I determine same? Means if I have UID, can I determine each which same that student is learning or studying? UID 101, that person is studying in 4th semester. UID 105, that person is studying in 4th semester. UID 106, that person is studying in 6th semester. Yes, with UID, I can also determine semester. So this FD also exists. That means semester is also dependent on UID. Can I say that marks, subject can determine marks? Yes. Subject is able to determine marks. If I am just using UID to determine marks, it can determine, but it won't be a complete information, or it may not be the correct information. In that case, subject marks will be there only if the student is taking a subject or he is appearing for the exam of that subject. So for a subject can determine marks. Subject can determine marks is a FD exist. Here you can see subject is not a primary key, but marks are dependent on subject. Not only subject, marks is dependent on many other things also, but it is dependent on subject. We need to have a value of subject, then only you can get the marks. Semester subject. It is also true. Okay. Semester can determine subject. Even subject can determine semester. This subject, if I have uh, semester information, I can get which subject that person is learning. In some cases, if I know the subject information, I can also get the semester. So it is also possible. Vice versa is also possible in some cases. Now this is a better FD. This is a better or correct FD. Here subject can determine. Sorry, here it should be. It should not be same. It's my mistake. It should be marks. So can UID and subject together determine mark? Yes. Roll number 101. How many marks roll number 101 has scored in DBMS? So I have information about UID. I have information about subject. I can get the marks correct. Okay. So UID plus subject can together determine marks. Okay. This FD also exists. So X, in this case, this is X and this is Y. So here you can also understand that X can be a single attribute or can be a group of attributes. Can be a group of attributes. Similarly, Y can also be a single attribute or a group of attributes. Does this exist? Name and subject combination can determine marks. Again, here it should be marks. Can name and subject together determine marks? No, because if I find name is getting repeated, Yash is both are appearing for DA subject. In one instance, I am getting 51. In other instance, I am getting 52. See here. If I am considering this as T1, this as T2, in this and this whole as X is together, name and subject are X. So T1 dot X is equal to T2 dot X. Here also T2 dot X is exactly same. But I am not getting T1 dot Y is equal to T2 dot Y. That means the FD is not correct. FD doesn't exist. So name subject combination is unable to get you the marks, but UID subject combination is able to get you the marks. Okay. So in this case, UID can determine all the rest of the attributes. Okay. UID can determine name, can determine same, can determine subject, and can determine marks. So UID can determine all four, but only thing is, if I am saying that UID is determining marks, probably it will be not complete information. It will be incomplete information. So with UID to determine marks, I need to take help of subject. But in rest of the three things, UID can determine it alone. UID can determine semester, can determine name, and can also determine subject, but cannot determine marks alone. Okay. So this is what the overall concept of functional dependence. Have you understood? Shall we proceed?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Okay. If anything is there, you can interrupt and ask. One more example. We are not going into detail of this. So ID, name, age, address, country, and state. So I can have ID can act as a primary key. So ID can determine actually everything, but not needed every time. So ID determines name. ID can determine name. ID can also determine the state in which that person is staying. ID can also determine country in which that person is staying. So can be the age and so can be the address. So ID is a primary key, so it is able to determine everything. Why I am saying it as a primary key? Because it is unique. It is not getting repeated. On very similar grounds, can I say name is also not getting repeated? So name can be a primary key. Name can be a primary key. Also, this ID can be a primary key, so can be a name. So FD here can be name determines age, name determines address, name determines content, name determines state is also possible in case if name is working as a primary. Okay. Along with that, we are also having one more that is state can determine country. If I know the name of state, I can determine in which country it is. Okay. So this exists. This see, and all these FDs are dependent on this. We are defining the FDs. FDs are very much dependent on the application of the database. Because depending on that application, we are going to take the decision on the primary key. We are going to take the determining the values differently. Here, even if I cannot simply say let us say that age here is 18, then 18, 21, 19, 20. Age is also unique. So can I have age as a primary key? Definitely not. Definitely not. Age cannot be a primary key. Logically, it is said that it is not a primary key. Physically, I can say that it can be, but it is not exactly said. So FDs are defined depending on your what we can say on your depending on your application or use of that data set. Fine. This FD concept is very important for normalizing a database, means for designing of a database, that which we are going to see in the further classes. Now we'll just see what are the types of FDs. There are two types of FDs: trivial and non-trivial. Okay, these are the FDs which holds on this particular this particular relation. There are two types of FDs: trivial and non-trivial. Along with that, we have two more types, which is called as multi-valued dependency and transitive dependency. That we are going to see later once we will proceed in normalization. But right now, we will be talking about trivial and non-trivial uh, FDs. Okay. These two terms are going to appear in the definition of normalization, and at that time the application of this will be very clear. But right now we'll try to understand the concept of this. This is a data set on which these are the uh, FDs which holds or which exist. There can be many more, but right now I am listing out 5 and understanding that these are the 5 FDs which hold. We need to find out which of them are trivial, which of them are not, and why we are doing it. We are doing it to check whether the FD which we have mentioned is valid or not. Okay, valid or not. So what is a trivial dependency? A trivial dependency is when I say X determines Y. In this case, Y is a subset of X. Y is a subset of X. Okay, that's what we are going to uh, that what do you mean by that? So uh, it may be, I'll take an example. ABC determines C. Okay. So ABC super key can determine the value of C. That means here in this case, C is the subset of ABC. C is the part of ABC. Or in other case, I can also say that ABC is able to determine AB. It is also true. Okay. So when Y is a subset of X, that becomes a trivial dependency. In fact, this is very simple. This is very simple. We are determining the value which we know. When I say that I know ABC, definitely I know C. I know ABC, definitely I know AB combination of AB. Okay. So if Y is a subset of X, that means I know Y, value of Y. Okay. So here, if I'm taking a combination of, let us say that UID and subject determines subject. Okay. So in this case, subject is a subset of this super key. Of course, when I know UID, when I know subject, I'll be knowing subject. So when I know ABC, I will be knowing A, I will be knowing B, I will be knowing C. So it is a trivial. This is a trivial dependency, and it is always valid. Because why it is valid? Because I am giving you the information which you are trying to retrieve. Okay, so it is always valid because the first person is the provider of that information. So this is called as non-trivial. It is always valid. But when I talk about, sorry, this is trivial, which is always valid. When I talk about non-trivial dependency, in this case, Y and X are distinct. Y or X are distinct. In this case, this FD, this FD, or this FD, all in this case X, this is X and this is Y. These are distinct. That means Y is not the subset of X. Or in other way, X and Y do not have anything in common. We can say that X intersection Y should be null, should be phi. Okay. So when X and Y don't have anything in common, that FD becomes non-trivial, and we always need to verify it whether it works or not. Non-trivial FD, whether it works or not. Along with this, if I am saying that name determines same, this FD may hold, but is it valid? Is it valid? It may hold because X is from the table, Y is from the table, and it can determine the value. But does it hold properly? Because no, because if I'm saying Yash is saying is learning in 6th semester, other Yash is also learning in 6th semester. So if I'm relying on this FD, I'm going to get not a proper information. There are two Yash in the same class, learning the same subject, scoring different marks, having different UIDs. So name determines subject probably will not be a valid FD. But if I join here UID at that time, this is okay. UID and name can uniquely determine semester. This FD exists, this FD is valid, previous is not. Okay, so this is the concept of trivial and non-trivial FD. Whether the FD is trivial or not, that we are going to that on which our normalization will be based. That's why we are trying to understand this. Okay, and as we have listed, I have listed these many FDs over here. There is a possibility that many other FDs may be inferred, may be determined from these FDs. Okay, These are the some limited FDs on this relation I have listed out. But there is a possibility of many other FDs which may hold or which may exist for this relation, which will be inferred by these list of FDs. How it is possible, that we are going to learn with the help of Armstrong, Armstrong's axiom or inference rules. Blindly, this carries minimum 6 marks, 5 to 6 marks in your university paper. Okay, Armstrong axioms or inference rules. It is used to infer all the functional dependency on a relational database. So we'll have a relational database. We'll have certain set of FDs available, and from that we are going to infer which other FDs may also exist. So there are 7 different rules, out of which 3 are primary rules and 4 are secondary rules. That's we are going to see one by one, followed by a problem based on this inference rules or axioms. So there are 3 primary rules that we are going to see. This is not complicated. These are the same algebraic things which we have already seen. So it's not a rocket science. Reflexivity rule says if A is a set of attribute and B is a subset of A, then A can determine B. Just now whatever I said, if this is A, X, Y, Z, then this can determine X, this can determine Y, this can determine Z. Okay, because these are the known values. These are the known values. So that's why if A is a set of attribute, that is this is A, and B is a subset of A, so this is B. In that case, A holds B or A determines B. A determines B. This FDX. This is a simple one. Okay. Transitivity. Transitivity is like something like A is equal to B and B is equal to C, hence A is equal to C. Or A is greater than B, B is greater than C, hence A is greater than C. Likewise, if A determines B, if A determines B and B determines C, in that case, A can determine C. So this is not a really very difficult part. So that's what we are doing in transitivity. In augmentation, augmentation means increasing the size of operands or size of input. Augmenting something means increasing the size of input. That's what augmentation is. In this case, augmentation is if A determines B and A determines and C is a set of attributes. C is a separate set of attributes, maybe 1 attribute or 2 attributes. On both sides, we can multiply that. On both sides, we are going to we can multiply with that set of attributes. So if A determines B, if A determines B and we have a separate set C from the same relation, of course from the same relation, at that moment AC will determine BC. Okay, AC will determine BC. So it is also possible. It is also possible. So this is called as augmentation, where A determines B is already there and we are just increasing the size of inputs. We are just multiplying with C to the on the both sides. C can be single attribute, C can be a set of attributes. A, B can also be set of attributes. I'm just using the terms A and B, but it can be a set of attributes. So these are the 3 primary rules: reflexivity, transitivity, and augmentation. These you can remember. So then we can move further. Secondary rules. There are 4 secondary rules. One is union rule. Not difficult to understand. A determines B and A determines C. That means A can determine combination of these. Okay, they are made together. A determines B and A determines C, hence A determines BC. Union rule, making it together. Or exactly opposite to that is the next rule, that is decomposition rule. Where if A determines BC, then I can say A determines B and A determines C separately. Okay. So this is a decomposition. Union and decomposition are opposite to each other. Pseudo transitivity. Pseudo transitivity is a little complicated to understand. If A determines B and B is the part of super key which is determining D. So if A determines B and BC determines D, at that case I can say that I can replace B with A because A is determining B. So this is replaced here and I can say that AC is determining D. This is pseudo transitivity. Transitivity because the primary rule, and this is pseudo transitivity. So here B is A determines B and B is a part of a super key, part of a set of attributes. So if A is replacing B, okay, this you remember, you have to remember, it is little different. And lastly is the composition. So if A determines B and X determines Y, there are two separate FDs which exist which hold on the same relation. If A determines B and X determines Y, we are combining determinants and we are combining dependents. That means AX is determining DY. This is also possible. This is also possible. Okay. So in this way, these are the rules which are determining or inferring different FDs which may hold on the data set. Okay, let us go for one example. We have a relation PQRSTU. We have a relation, and from on this relation we have a set of FDs. So these are the set of FDs which can be named as F. So from this we are expected to find out the set of FDs which are inferred because of this using the Armstrong axioms. We need to find out that. Okay, so that is called as F plus. That set which will be now inferred from these FDs is called as F set or closure set. Closure set. Okay. So if F is the set of FDs, F plus is the closure set of FDs on that relation which are inferred because of following the Armstrong axioms or inference rules. Closure set. Closure set is different. Like for this set, I am finding a closure set. Likewise, for every attribute also, I can find out a closure. That is called as attribute closure. That we'll see in the next lecture. What is attribute closure? So this is a closure set. With the help of different axioms, what we can find out. So here we can simply say that P determines Q and P determines R. Union rule will say that P determines QR. That way you are supposed to calculate. So let us say that the first one. First one is P determines T is the FD which may exist. How? Because P determines Q and Q determines T. So with the help of transitivity rule, I can say that P determines T. Okay. So this way, this is the first FD in the F plus set. First FD in the F plus set, that is P determines T. How it is? How we are getting it? P determines Q and Q determines T. Hence, with the transitivity rule, P is determining T. Second, we can say PR determining S. PR determining S with the help of pseudo transitivity rule. How you can say that? P is determining Q and QR is determining S. P is determining Q. See here, P is determining Q and QR is determining S. So now P can replace Q in this case and it becomes PR determining S. PR determining S. Okay. So with the help of pseudo transitivity, QR determining S U, because QR is determining S, QR is determining U. So with the help of union rule, I can say that QR is determining SU using union rule. PR can determine SU again with the help of pseudo transitivity rule. PR determines S. PR determines S is the closure we have seen. PR determines U is already in existence, so PR determines SU. Is again a, it is not, sorry, it is not a pseudo transitivity rule plus union rule together. So this will be, likewise we can go on calculating the FDs. It may be for 30-40 different FDs which will be there as a part of F plus. Like with the help of same pseudo transitivity rule, I can have PR determines U, QR determines U, P determines Q, hence PR determines U is also possible. P determines Q, P determines R, hence P determines QR is also possible. So likewise, we can have number of FDs in this closure set, but you need to analyze it every now and then. But and every inferred rule can also infer the FDs. So it's a very lengthy process. So we are not going to do that always. Whenever we are being called asked to find out the F plus, a closure set of F, you will just refer to the FDs existing in F. We are not going to derive the FDs from the inferred elements. Okay. So this way, this is the F plus closure set which we have, and that is the way you are going to find out. So I have posted an assignment on the Genomio website. You will have to solve these two problems and submit it before 3 o'clock today. Okay, after 3 o'clock the link will be closed, or you can start. It's 15 minutes left. Within 15 minutes you can find out and answer that. That will be better. But if you are not able to do it, at the max 3 p.m. today, you'll have to submit that assignment. Okay. So in tomorrow's lecture, we'll see what do you mean by attribute closure and normalization. First form of normalization we will start in the next lecture. So thank you from my side. If you have any doubts, you can stay back and ask. Otherwise, you may do.
Hello, sir. Hello. हेलो
हाँ बोलो सुनो
सर, एक मिनट स्लाइड आप रिवर्स कर सकते हो क्या?
स्लाइड्स?
हाँ
हाँ, एक मिनट एक मिनट. हाँ, कौन सी स्लाइड चाहिए
सर? इसके पहले की, इसके पहले की.
ये
नहीं, प्राइमरी रूल्स.
ये हाँ
हाँ हाँ, इसका नाम नहीं याद था ना,
हाँ
तो ले लेता हूँ. ठीक है, थैंक यू.